Hello, I'm Mark Baer. I'm your host of the YourTown television program. I'm with Arlene Krebs, Board President of the Arts Council for Monterey County, my old friend.
It's great to be here.
Well, let's just jump right in because time is short. Let's talk about the Arts Council and what they're doing. We had that fabulous gala a little bit back.
Yes.
And
our Champions of the Art Gala
Yes.
is a way for us to increase awareness throughout the county of the work that we do in arts education. But the Arts Council is so much more these days. We are supporting the LEAP program, Local Emerging Artist Program, where we have grants for artists to help them fulfill a vision they have, whether it be prepare for an exhibition or buy equipment. We have our community arts program where we've done murals throughout the county at the Veterans Transition Center, at the Pajaro New Park, at Greenfield, at their Cultural Arts Center, and we're creating more murals with the community involvement. We also have Artworks, which is our attempt to help artists find studio space and create a working environment. We've created our new strategic plan, our vision for 2020, which helps us focus on equitable access to arts for all of our county's people, from children through seniors, from the rural to the peninsula. So we're very active, we're very busy, we're a very dynamic board, and I'm very grateful to have participated on the board and to now serve as its president.
well, I'm a big believer that arts matter.
Yes,
And
now more than ever.
now more than ever, and I think that arts contribute a lot to our standard of living here, a lot to our just the pleasure of living here, and as well as so much awareness for so many things. And let's talk about some of the other programs you have coming up.
Well, I'd like to comment on our living in this incredibly beautiful region, which has a really rich, deep, long legacy in the arts.
Yes.
Everyone from the famous names of Ansel Adams and Edwin Weston, who helped found the Arts Council, to John Steinbeck, to Ferlinghetti and Henry Miller, to the current artists who live and work here. We have a region that is rich in all forms of the arts, from theater to music and dance to the visual arts, watercolors, painting, photography. So we like to capitalize and build on that legacy and help to support the thousands of artists and arts and cultural organizations in our region. The Arts Council gives out about 90 grants a year to our local arts and cultural organizations so that they can work locally in their communities supporting arts endeavors, education, events, festivals, exhibitions, and all that. And we get that support from our very progressive and forward-thinking county supervisors. They give us a portion of the transit occupancy tax, so when the hospitality industry is doing well, we can funnel those funds to these arts and cultural organizations.
So a shout out for local support,
Yes.
especially local government support, because it's nice to have that understanding and recognition of the importance.
Yes, and even at the American Tin Cannery now, where we created this 7,000 square foot space for local artists to share and work, collaborate, exhibit, that was due to the generosity of the Cannery Row organization that allows us to rent this space to artists at 50 cents a square foot, a very affordable rate right now. And of course, we'd love to replicate that in other parts of the county. But I'd like to mention another aspect of the arts. The arts help bring self-esteem. They help encourage creativity. We've done projects at the Juvenile Detention Center that have won a national award that see the arts as healing. where the young incarcerated men were able to express themselves and find other modes of outlets for their emotions and their intellect. So the arts are also healing. And I can't imagine a world without the arts, and I can only continue to emphasize the role of the arts in our own spiritual, physical, emotional well-being.
So I've known you for a long time, and I've known you as an educator and as a teacher. I've known you involved in many organizations in the community. But what people don't know about you so much is your own background in the arts. Let's go through that a little bit.
Well, let me say that I was fortunate to grow up in a family that exposed me to the arts at an early age, particularly when I was a teenager, going to museums and exhibitions, dabbling in art classes. And then when I graduated college and was in New York, I was working in one of the worst high schools in New York City. And they brought in a program to use what was a new technology, Portapack video, handheld television cameras. And I looked at that and I said, wow, if this is a mode for expression with these young men in this high school, I really want to learn how to use it, and I want to learn how to use it with artists. Those were the days of the thriving arts and cultural center in Soho, New York City. And I went to study video production at Global Village Video Arts Center, which was one of 2 or 3 establishments in Soho at the time. Imagine these were the early days of Philip Glass, of the San Francisco Mime Company, of all of these artists coming together in what was an industrialized area.
This is the experimental film movement, was the Zemeckis brothers, John Zemeckis?
Exactly.
Yes.
I worked with them, I knew them, and they were going from film to video.
Yeah.
So I began my career in 1972 as a video documentarian and artist.
And we're still 40 years old. Isn't that amazing?
Isn't it wonderful? The arts give you vibrancy.
Yes.
They keep you in good health. And so I began doing video art, performance art. I performed with other artists at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. I did documentaries that are now in the permanent collection of the New York Public Library. And I did one video that transformed my own thinking. It was with a German artist named Joseph Beuys, who at the time was
Joseph
one of the...
Beuys is a world famous, known for working with felt, known for
Exactly.
Unusual materials.
And he was the founder of the Green Party in Germany.
Yes.
And in 1982, he wrapped the Guggenheim Museum in felt and fat and honey, which related to his own story of survival in World War II, where his plane was shut down. He was in Siberia. He was covered in lard, wrapped in felt, and fed honey by the Siberians who found him. Anyway, I did this documentary with 2 other video makers on Joseph Beuys. He gave a talk in the Great Hall, Cooper Hall, where Abraham Lincoln had spoke in New York City. And the process of editing that documentary transformed my life, because essentially Beuys' message is, we are all artists. Our work is our art. When we come together for social, political, environmental movement, when we create an event that brings together large groups of people, we create social sculpture. Even in my classrooms, in my years as a communications professor, I thought of my classroom as a social sculpture, of a way of engaging the youth in thinking and debate and critical analysis and in coming together for a shared purpose. I consider myself an artist. My work is my art. I have done a lot of seminars and conferences and gatherings. To me, they're all social sculpture.
See, I didn't even know the Joseph Beuys connection. I think of those felt suits hanging. Mm-hmm. And again, he brought together the idea of the activist artist.
Yes.
He was, I think, one of the early people to articulate that. And also that what I love about him is that any material is an art material.
That's right.
That was I thought that was profound.
It was, and I have found people who knew about Joseph Beuys, even here locally, local artists who studied with him. And about 7, 8 months ago, I got a call from some young German filmmakers who were making a film on Joseph Beuys for theatrical release, asking me for some of the footage that we shot in 1982 with handheld 3/4-inch Portapak cameras, color and black and white. And it was an amazing experience. By the way, I have to tell you Beuys's last quote. So he's having this 4-hour dialogue with a jam-packed Cooper Union Hall. And the last question was to Joseph Beuys, who's your favorite artist? And without hesitation, he said, Jackson Pollock. And the young questioner said, why? And Beuys responded, he freed the canvas. And I love that concept.
Yeah.
Because art is a liberating experience.
And just to articulate that, because I've been thinking about this.
Your work.
So what Pollock did is, instead of the canvas being a place for representation, the canvas became an arena for performance.
Yes.
And I thought that's quite a profound, liberating thought.
That's right. And your own work, Mark, what you exhibited at what then called the Museum of Monterey, was an example of that kind of liberation, where you integrated video and poetry and dance and artwork and transformed a space.
Well, what every artist is looking, first of all, these are extraordinary times.
Yes.
And I don't get political on this show, but no matter where your positions are, these are extraordinary times. The nature of reality is like it's up for grabs. It seems.
That's right.
The artist has a job again.
Yes.
The artist is at the moment is not necessarily a decorator, mm-hmm. or a something that's it's or an entertainer right now. The artist is a kind of definer of the nature of reality right now.
Or as Joseph Beuys would say, the artist is activist.
Yes,
yes. Yes, because first of all, we have to protect the arts throughout our nation. You know, other countries in the world, they will give dollars per person to support the arts, everything from public broadcasting and radio, all the way down to what we're talking about, local arts and cultural organizations, national programs. We cannot afford as a nation, particularly in this time, particularly in a highly digitized society, because that's another one of my big interests,
yes.
The impact of technology on culture, which is what I studied. We cannot afford to give up the National Endowment for the Arts or the National Endowment for the Humanities or any of the state arts commissions or any of the local arts councils, because their role is more important now than ever. At our gala, the children, one of the teaching artists, brought in postcards that the children had done, little drawings on one side of this colored construction paper, and on the other side were statements. So one little girl writes, when I'm in the arts room, it makes me so happy and I love using all the colors. And another little boy writes, I like to work with my friends on creating an arts piece because it teaches us how to understand each other. But a third child wrote, I need the arts because at nighttime when I hear all of the violence and shooting on the street, doing art helps me to forget.
Well, it's powerful.
It is powerful. And that signifies the power of the arts. And if we are going to protect a new generation, the next generation of youth, of children in this nation, we have to create emotional, spiritual, and intellectual well-beings.
So one of my big things that I'm a proponent of is that we can be great locally. Mm-hmm. In other words, all the important art doesn't have to come out of Los Angeles or doesn't have to come out of New York.
Yeah.
We can, when a community puts its mind to it and organizes its creative community together, and you have public support for it as seeing this is an important issue, I think great things can happen. Great things can happen in a small place. I never feel parochial here.
That's such an interesting point, because being a lifelong native New Yorker, people say to me, how are you finding it in Monterey? You were so involved in the arts and video and documentaries, performances, etc. in New York. And I say, we don't lack for arts and culture here. We have, just at the tip of our heads, the Monterey Jazz Festival, the Bach Festival. Tonight I'm opening a film for the Carmel Jewish Film Festival. Monterey Pop, we're having the revitalization for the 50th anniversary of the Monterey Pop Festival this summer, the Summer of Love. The Arts Council, by the way, provides grants to help support every one of the organizations I just mentioned. We have the Youth Orchestra in Salinas. We have Dance Kids Monterey. We have so many local groups and festivals that bring in outsiders who come and learn about our region and are able to participate in, again, our rich
CSUMB, we haven't mentioned either.
Right, World Theater right
Yes,
there.
yes.
And we have the Monterey Museum of Art up the street, and the Dolly Museum now right across the courtyard here, the Custom House Plaza.
Yes.
So we have wonderful opportunities.
And it's close enough and affordable enough that you can actually get to it.
Yes.
In LA you have everything, or in
Right.
New York you have everything, but it's expensive and it requires getting
Yes.
there.
I mean, we have the Sunset Theater, we have the Golden State Theater, we have the World Theater.
Yeah.
We have all these venues to bring in the arts organizations and performances from throughout the world.
So, and it happens not accidentally. It happens with people working hard to make
Yes.
it happen.
Yes.
And you've been on the forefront of that.
Yes, and you talk about the donor community.
Yes.
We have a wonderful donor for the Arts Council who believes in the role of music in children's education. She is funding, this couple are funding Music for All Monterey. And we have music education programs now in all the schools. And look at Guitars Not Guns, another organization locally here that's using music.
So, just to wrap this up, I want people to support the arts. I want people to support the Arts Council.
Yes.
Shout out the website, please.
Okay, it's arts4mc.org, and the 4 is the number 4, so it's arts4mc.org. And please go there. You'll find a wealth of information and an opportunity for those of you who need it, grants.
And if you're curious, look up Joseph Boys.
Yes, absolutely.
This is Mark Baer. You're watching YourTown Television, yourtown.tv. We'll be right back.